And we are kicking off the show. My name is John Crump. I'm an investigative journalist. As you probably know, I am joined by Flying Rich here, the flying one. Say hi to Flying Rich. Rich, say hi to him. I can't hear you for some reason. I don't know what the hell is going on here. But let's go ahead and bring on Jeremy Deadman. Maybe I can hear him. Maybe not. Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, guys.
I can hear Jeremy.
Hey,
I can't hear Rich. So, Rich, it's something with you. All right. So, yeah, we have no audio from you, Rich. I have it from Jeremy, though. Jeremy is a good friend who I met a long, long time ago. He works at X-Tech. Not only does he work at X-Tech, he's the founder of X-Tech. And they make some of the highest quality magazines on the planet. And if you were on or watching Uncensored last night, you probably saw some of these magazines. I'm going to show off a few of his magazines first. What they are known for is their AK mags, and I have one of his mags. This is a new one that I showed off last night in my AK, because on Rumble you can do that stuff. On here you can't show off an AK. But right here, this is their slab side mag for an AK-47 or an AKM. It's really cool because it has reinforced like lugs and feed lips and everything else. They're still reinforced, which is awesome. These magazines are badass. And in fact, a few years ago, I was out in Vegas hanging out at the X-Tech house, and we watched a Tim Harmston video where he tried to break one, and he ended up breaking a brick instead. And Jeremy and none of the X-Tech guys knew that video was coming out.
Right. That was a fun surprise in the right audience. And so I will say, I always tell people, Tim takes that whole not working with manufacturers thing, at least he did that, and way more seriously than anyone else, because I had been begging him to review them, and we found out later he refused to use the products we sent him and actually went and bought his own, telling us it's test. So
yeah, but he broke a brick. But these magazines are battle worthy. They're not.
But like, most common people don't know his full name. They know him as Mac, the Military Arms Channel.
Yeah, but these are not like your Tapco mags or your Century mags or anything like that. These are actually, I would depend my life on these mags. That was out at Red October out in Vegas.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, at the core of our brand, we're in that product where we probably now can look at ourselves honestly and say that we're historically been horrendous marketers, but we can say with confidence and no hesitation, we're tremendous at product development space. And so going to do a lot more branding this year and kind of add some more to meat to the messaging of what we're doing. But that is a product that, with no hesitation, your grandchildren and essentially their children will be able to possess. And that's really core of what we're doing.
Yeah, if you want a AK mag that you can depend your life on, this is probably the one that I would go with, just because it's really, really tough. I mean, I beat the hell out of my mags, and I've broken Tapcos, I've broken US Palms, I've broken a bunch of different mags, but I have not been able to break any X-Tech mags.
Yeah, and if you got a bunch of Circle 10s, then let them sit in the safe and appreciate in value, and beat the crap out of ours, I condone it. So
yeah, I don't have any Circle 10s, but
yeah,
so I can't really comment on that, but I can say that these are far superior than some of the other mags. I also want to show something that I got that's still even in the package. I haven't opened it up yet. I just got it the other day. I have these for my VP9, which I run. But they're all in upstairs. And this is for M&P 9. This is a 22 round mag, and it's tough. It's just like the other one. I do have a question about it. Looking at the package, it said that these are made in the USA and made in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so we have a couple issued patents on magazine extensions, and so again, innovations there. Marketing hasn't been, but we've vetted that our solution matters on the extension side, and we're now selling thousands of extensions a week and looking to scale that quickly. Already have some tools in motion, but the gap for us is, as you know, we made VP9 magazines, and if you go into the forums, a lot of folks go, "Why the heck did X-Tech ever stop making VP9 magazines?" So if you look at kind of the two markets you just hit on, John, of AK-47 and H&K, I think anyone in the space kind of knows I'm either insane or not scared, and really believe in what we're doing, because we don't go after the more generic, easier to hit targets. I like to focus on building our brand on the foundation of the most discerning consumers, because frankly, I want to help consumers get to a better point of being discerning about quality products. We are all consumers that bought products that have broken. We've all have empathy and experienced the same, victims of marketing in this space. And so everything we stand for is we have to believe in. So with Italy, we had tried US manufacturing of steel magazine bodies, and worked with different manufacturers here. And Italy has a great foundation of craftsmanship with magazines. Obviously, Mekgar is what most of us know, but we've now partnered with two smaller, and so that's the first of many magazines that will be coming from X-Tech Tactical in the next year and a half. So we're striving to be the aftermarket solution for every popular pistol under the sun. And so versus spending more money and time and effort trying to develop that here in the US, we're going to be partnering with some proven, less known, non-Mekgar companies and helping them. And therefore, it's the end result of arming America with reliable mags.
yeah, for full disclosure, Jeremy will call me up and say, "Hey, I got this idea for a mag. We have a couple. We're going to send it to you." And he's not sending it to me for like a review or for me to write about it. He wants me to beat the shit out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and report back and saying, "Hey, this is what I found. This is the weak part," and they go back, which is awesome that X-Tech does that. That they reach out and I just realized what shirt I'm wearing. Sorry, Jeremy.
What is it? But I don't know what that shirt means, so you have to educate me. But
It's a Canic product.
no, they're a popular pistol, so you can read between the lines with my last statement and where we're headed as a brand. So, that is a popular platform, so it might be one that we support in the future. And I think you have to know me on a personal level to make sense of that, but I think it makes sense to you, John. So,
Yeah, it makes sense. I just realized that. It's like, look, I was like, oh crap.
yeah,
Rachel's like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
But no, I think we're very excited about it. We've been able to form some great relationships, and we're excited about where they can go. And so from us, we're really going to be focused on the full spectrum, and not just magazines, not just a name on a shelf, but full ecosystems of pistols. And magazines will be the core of that. Flush fit, extended, limited capacity, kind of bring that perspective to people where they.
Yeah, honestly, I think Jeremy sits up at night and thinks about this stuff, because he'll call me and goes, "Hey, I got an idea. What do you think of this idea?" And I'll be like in the middle of the night.
Research is my passion. My business partners have learned they've had to set their phones on D&D because they'll get texts at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So, and then you're on East Coast time. So when my brain's all the tasks are done for the day, it's usually your bedtime when I start trying to call you. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm going to show one more magazine before we get into some of the other discussions. I just wanted to start out with some of your products, and this one is really cool. This is an air mag. I have several of these, several generations. The first one I had was, I think, a prototype. And that one, I think, broke, and then you guys changed it to make it more reliable, durable, and everything else.
Yeah, you were one of our testers on that one. So that was one of the most challenging projects I've ever attempted. Same can be said about the AK mags. Ours are the only U.S. made AK-47 magazines that will pass the first test that any communist origin country of AKs would have done, which is a 6-foot drop test onto the feed lips fully loaded concrete. There is no other U.S. made magazine that will pass a single drop. Ours is the only one ever. And in fact, our all polymer ones that we used to sell with no steel also pass. So that same premise of reliability and durability, we passed on to even an easy loading magazine that makes the range more fun. So we put undue burdens on ourselves, and then we don't tell anyone about what we actually made. And so that's kind of the challenge with us. But that product is designed to make your time at the range more fun. We don't market it or push it as a product that it has a slot in it. It's longer than your typical 30-round mag, but it's a speed loader magazine built as one, and we wanted also to get as much out of that for future products. So 300 blackout, 223, 556, stripper clip, stripper clips.
Pull it down and load it up. I like it. I take several of these to the range just because when I reload, I shoot a lot. So when I reload, it's just really easy. I load up 6 at home, and then 6 mags at home. Then I bring a few of these. I think usually run 3 of these in addition, so I can just pop it in there.
Yep. So, but definitely we wanted to get as much as we could out of, where we may head in the future in coming years. And we've always, kind of seen Magpul as their biggest competition, and they've kind of earned their place. But there's room in the market for something better. And I'm not just looking to make another AR mag. So to me, if we get to the point where we're confident we can make something that is worthy to upend what's available, then we'll do it. So, but we didn't want to just make a fun range mag. We wanted to learn as much as we could to prepare ourselves to we go in the futures. So a lot more into that product than could have been, given that we're marketing as kind of fun range.
Yeah. So there's a question. The VP9 extensions, will those work on a USP C mag or?
So I've got to make a chart at some point. The HK forum guys love to take our products and try different things with it. We make an array of different products but I believe the answer is yes, but you're going to have a gap. It won't fit on the C magazines. It'll fit on the full size magazines. So you'll have a sleeve that is needed there. And so you'll need to do something to fill that gap. Or you're going to have
3D print. Our audience 3D print. So
there you go. Yep.
Where there's a will, there is a way. Yeah, I met Jeremy through a guy named Roger who actually co-founded Black Swan Media with me.
Okay.
And he's the guy that named Black Swan Media. And he's the reason why I got into all this stuff, because I was just his friend and he kept on bugging me to get into it because he wanted to do it. And then once we got the channels up and stuff like that, he kind of decided he didn't want to do it anymore. So I got stuck with everything.
Roger Frame, yeah, that's been a name I haven't kicked around in a while, but I remember some of his original torture test videos, and I'd be like, "Hey, Roger, they're not coming through. I can't see." Be like all blurry stuff, but then he got a hold of some full autos and had some fun with them. So I think he actually got AK mags before we ever sold them as well. So we're big on getting, I like working with people that will give us honest feedback. As as I told you, John, before you started testing our stuff, you're hurting me if you come into an issue and you don't tell me. But we want to know, and in most cases there's issues we can solve, and if there's some anomaly we want to study and understand it. But as an aftermarket manufacturer, we're always at the mercy of the producers of the firearms they work with, right? And sometimes they're good about telling us about changes, other times they're not, but all we can do is stay alert to it, and the more we know about our products interacting with the firearms, the better off we are.
Hey, Rich, you have a mag there too, right?
Yep. Yeah, I got the SIG P365, and I just saw you got the 15-round extension, so that's something I'd be interested in getting.
Yeah, that's an ecosystem we're going all into. As you know, Rich, you've handled them. I think, John, you don't own a 365. It's our number one selling today. The California roster. Yeah, so we sell a lot of those things. So we sell it as a +0 that's 50 state compliant. John and I both have an affinity as non-lawyers to study the law. And So we sell it as a +3 for free states and a +0 for restricted states, and it is 50 state legal. A lot to be said that +0s can be converted to a +3. We just won't ship those kits to restricted states. So that's for when and if you move or your laws change is our, how we present that.
Or your
And,
friend.
we don't present it that way, John. We don't encourage our clients to, anyway.
And I'm independent.
But really, so like the 365, it gives you the perfect grip. It lets you shrink it down to a pocket pistol. I think it's a far superior in your hand experience than the XL or the X is. And so, but with the popularity of the 365 now, we're looking at a whole ecosystem of around that. So, short terms, things like slide rackers, they replace the rear slide plate, give you more grip to rack the slide there. We're doing some magazine sleeves that are improved over what SIG ships with for the 17-round mags for both the XS/XL and the standard frame. We're also doing a extension for the macro 17-round mags. So now you can take your little 365, put our sleeve on it, put our extension on it, and now you got 21 rounds of standard 365. So lots of stuff in the works there. So only things we're not doing on that immediately, playing a little bit of a wait and see game, is actual magazines. So SIG got some patents that, in my opinion, as a non-lawyer, they should not have been able to get. They were wrongly issued by the USPTO.
Which happens.
And Springfield agrees with that statement. And so there's at least 3, almost 4 years into litigation right now between Springfield and SIG, SIG alleging patent infringement, how Springfield.
So that's Hellcat versus 365?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So that should, if obviously Springfield has the pockets to see that through, and they've taken the stance from what I've seen following, that they're fighting that to the end, and they're seeking to invalidate SIG's patents, which my understanding of patent law and my understanding of the patents, they should be invalidated, and that would open us up to be able to make sense.
So what is the detail that's patentable on that?
Yeah, so essentially it's the angle. Let me see here.
One thing why he's getting that, there's a whole saying is your patent is not good until you can survive a lawsuit. What that means is that there's people in the patent office that looks over the stuff that has no idea anything about firearms, anything about anything.
That's correct. Absolutely correct, John. Is a patent being issued is it's. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying every examiner is bad, but
majority of them have no idea.
Yeah, they have no idea. And so SIG's patents, essentially, Rich, to answer your question, to show you how silly these are, this is the second silliest magazine patent out today. I'll go over the first silliest in a second. But their claim is these angles, as you step in, let's see a good angle. So as this goes from here to here, that area holds between 3 and 4 rounds. It's a lot of words. If you actually read their patents, they're all public domain. You can find, Google patents or et cetera. But essentially, it's the angle from this point here when it cuts in. So that's where if you look at like a Max 9, which you could dig out here, we've got them, but that steps in more dramatically, and essentially in the same size for the same 10 rounds, a Max 9 magazine is a little bit longer. So SIG's whole thing was getting 10 rounds into a tighter area. However, if you study that geometry closely, there's magazines that are longer than 10 rounds that have that same quantity of rounds that sit between here and here. So essentially they got it issued for, if it's the case of the overall magazine being between 10 rounds and 12 rounds, they got issued utility patents. But there's magazines that predated that have a very similar angle, therefore the same quantity of rounds between this area and this area, that just happen to be, say, 17-round magazines, something similar to like the CZ75 that has been out forever. So again, that's the second silliest issued patent on magazines that I've seen in some time. The silliest being also in active dispute is the Shield Arms 43X magazines. That more or less, and again, I'm not an attorney, but my conclusion on that is the claims are written, authored in a way where patent applies when the OEM magazine, i.e. in this case Glock 43X, is polymer, they have a steel magazine, which that would be the equivalent of me filing a patent for aluminum rims on a truck when it ships with steel.
Or a waffle pattern.
Yeah, so that's being litigated. Last I checked, there was an open dispute ordered. PSA brought in Shield Arms after Shield Arms started with a cease and desist around the micro dagger magazines. So
Now,
I think they kind of.
do you think that was a mistake for them to send the cease and desist? Should they just have ignored it and hope no one else infringed on them?
I mean, in my opinion, as a business owner, right? Like you can, if you get an issued patent, I've never attempted to get a patent. Maybe I should of something that I could just push through, because patents are effective, in keeping people at bay, like especially folks like myself that are, we're a self-funded business, we're a small business, and we're still growing rapidly. And spending money on lawyers means we can't spend money on innovation. Once you get to a certain point in life, you have a legal budget, like companies I've ran in the past, where you kind of go, if I don't spend it, more bonuses for the executives, right? And so with that said, I think it was a huge mistake on Shield Arms' part. I don't know who this is, but it's a fun reference there.
Yeah, I think he's seriously asking.
Yeah.
It was X-Tech.
I blew up the mags, and we were never forced to blow up the mags. I chose to blow up the mags. I don't want to go on a huge diversion today, but it was a choice made. So, but
yeah, I don't think he actually knew that was your company.
Yeah, no problem. But so essentially, back to the Shield Arms side, I think it was a mistake. If someone was calling me for advice on that owned Shield Arms or ran it, I would say absolutely let it be. You've got an issued patent. It's effectively keeping others at bay. PSA is focused on direct-to-consumer sales. They're really focused on selling those magazines more towards. They weren't even marketing for 43X. Of course, people figured it out that you could use them for 43X, the Glocks, but they were really just created that to support their own dagger ecosystem. And Shield Arms was on almost every gun shop in America, and a lot of times in allocation, they couldn't keep up. And now they brought more attention to these micro dagger mags existing. And
You think it might be a little bit of a Streisand effect?
I'm sorry?
Do you think it might be a little bit of the Streisand effect?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not
so
that
Barbara Streisand said, "Don't take pictures of my house on the bluffs."
Yep. Yeah, I mean, for those of us that know the industry and how the industry works is, there's companies that live off of shelf space at retailers that really have no marketing, no direct to consumer interface, and some of those are the largest companies in this industry, right? I mean, there's significant companies that really don't do much to sell direct, and then there's PSAs of the world that is kind of the new model that a lot of people say they want to go towards because they control more of their own destiny, which is selling direct to consumers. And so to me, they're really playing in different worlds. Shield Arms could still own that shelf space world, let their patent just sit out there and just leave PSA alone and still make millions of dollars a year. And as they were, and they built a whole company out of that product. Now they put themselves on the clock. So now you've got, I'm sure I'm not the only one sitting there going, if this ends up with invalidation, there's going to be a lot more.
So if I understand the patent issue with PSA and Shield Arms patent says, hey, default plastic mag, I make a metal mag, I'm patenting that. Where
they would argue I'm overly simplifying that statement, but that's the statement of my opinion as a non-attorney.
So because there's no default micro dagger plastic mag, PSA is like, oh, I'm just shoving this mag in.
Yeah, because Shield Arms' argument is that it's essentially a Glock 43X magazine, and so it's for a Glock. And if I'm the lawyers for PSA, I would argue multifaceted of this is the OEM magazine. It's made for this gun. It happenstance works for something else, and as an additional defense, this patent should have ever been issued to begin with. So there'd be a dual argument there from PSA's lens that would be pretty obvious to me if I was consulting with PSA's counsel. So it'd be your patent shouldn't have been issued, and this magazine was developed for a pistol that we manufactured that never shipped with just a magazine. It shipped with a hybrid magazine, which is this. There's plenty of examples of guns that, there's tons of guns that are built off the M92 pattern, CZ75 pattern magazines with just different hole cuts in them. Just because the gun, it happens to work in something else, that to me is not PSA's problem.
What's going on with BB Luminous? What's going on, man? Won't be here to donate to them. I'm not really sure. This is for you, Rich.
Oh, I'm trying to understand what he's saying.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Well, yeah, that is definitely interesting. Patent law is really, really it's like the people that do patents in the patent office, they're lawyers, but they get tons of patents, and it's not like they have like one guy that just does this type of patent, one guy that just does this type of patent. So you might get someone who has no idea what you're talking about.
Well, and there's something called examiner, just like there's like, I'm sure, John, I know you cover a ton of litigation on this channel. There's an argument of, if you're X-Tech and you're filing a patent, you have awareness around how you're authoring that patent towards your exposure of costs, meaning to get that patent, there's something called prosecution, right? And that's the back and forth between, I asked for patenting, this wide of coverage, and prosecution is narrowing, right? It's a back and forth between the examiner and your counsel, meaning yourself through your attorney. And so if you go super wide, one strategy is I'm going to go really, really wide, and I don't care what it costs, and just get me something, which is more of a bigger company approach that just compiles patents. The company that actually cares about that, right, and isn't substantial in size, they're more going, okay, I could spend $40,000 arguing with the patent office through my attorney, but really let's just start with the more narrow approach, because then we can get it done. 10,000, 12,000. So, there's that element too. If you're 6 Sauer, you don't care, right? I mean, it's in your budget, it's a tax write-off, and you're going to go for whatever you can get. And you can kind of examine or shop, right? And not, you can't, but you can. And it's something that's kind of a dirty secret in the patent world. It's, there's ways to kind of involve other examiners. There's ways to stretch things on where an examiner is going to likely not be there anymore. So you don't like what John's saying, so you just fight it on long enough, and then eventually Rich pops up, and Rich is like, John, this is a shit show, so I don't want to deal with this, so I'll just sign off. And there is an element to that where you can. So there's like anything with the federal government games to our plate.
Interesting. I had no idea on that stuff.
And that goes back to John's original point. A patent, you talk about a company looking to acquire you at the end, one of their, where a patent becomes uber valuable, the most valuable patents of the world are the patents that have a long life left to them, meaning, patents expire, right? Most of the time you're on 20 years of issue date to expiration date. And then the other side of it is, if there's a lot of sales tied to that with a lot of life left, and it's been defended in court and upheld as a valid patent, those are the most valuable patents in the world.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. And patent law, it's really expensive to defend a patent too.
It any intellectual property, right? As we, there's so much, the way our intellectual property disputes set up. I mean, if we want to go on a tangent, there's something really cool update wise is what Amazon's doing with, I think is actually fantastic, as much as there's so much Amazon stuff I don't like. Amazon is essentially, for issued patents and trademarks, set up their own judicial system and for their ecosystem. So if I have an issued patent for a product and I'm selling on Amazon, and John pops up behind me and is knocking me off, and it's a simple enough to understand patent for an attorney that essentially can't get work, because who else is going to work for Amazon for pennies, who has a law degree? It's not a very talented patent attorney, most likely, if I'm being candid, right? And but if that person that Amazon hires for the dispute, rules infringement takes place, it's over. There's no need for, on relative to selling on Amazon, that dispute is handled right there through Amazon. So it only pertains to issued intellectual property, patents and trademarks. But I think it's something that's trend setting and exciting as a small business, that now, Rich could come up with an idea tonight for a better Frisbee, go get a patent issued on it, start selling on Amazon, and he doesn't have to fight, 50 knockoffs from all over the world and deal with all that. He just alleges a dispute. I think it's around $1,000 Rich has to put up to file that dispute. The other party has to put up around $1,000, and then within 6 weeks, if it's easy for that person to understand that, again, can't get work. So again, if it's the way a computer processes something, good luck. But if it's a different shape of a Frisbee that's obvious claims that can be comprehended by a sixth grader, is kind of my rule, right? Then Amazon will handle it themselves. So instead of you having to spend millions, now you can spend $1,000 and protect your intellectual property, which I think is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's why there's all these patent trolls out there that sit on patents, because they know companies would rather pay a couple $1,000 and not have to worry about fighting this company in court than to take them to court and try to invalidate their patents, especially if their patents are very, very broad.
Back to John's original point, I mean, the last data from, I think, 2013 and the survey by Congress, the average cost per party was in excess of $600,000 in 2013 funds per party for any intellectual property.
It's over $1 million now.
Yeah. So, I mean, in our experience, that number's very easily hittable. We dealt with. So it's just, intellectual property is great, but if you don't have the funds to defend it, historically, I would say don't waste your money on a patent when I coach, young inventors. But now with Amazon's deal, if you have an Amazon product that gives you some life where at least you can go, live the American dream.
That's interesting.
It's to me, it's very exciting. It's very exciting, and obviously Amazon has a lot of voice towards Congress, and I think hopefully it brings some more attention to the issues we have, because I've always suggested a mini trial type approach to it to get some conclusion of does the plaintiff have an argument here?
Like an arbitration type thing.
Yeah, something that kind of sets the tone for it, right? And says, hey, is there something really here? Because right now with intellectual property, you're going through all the way through discovery, motion to dismiss method, that or the step, and then through discovery, hiring experts, which oftentimes are other patent attorneys that you spend tens of thousands of dollars with, and you're talking minimum of 24 months to even get a chance to start having the facts evaluated. If they did something similar to an arraignment in the criminal court, is there something here or not? And then add some honesty factors of, hey, if you keep suing John for a black t-shirt, saying you own a black t-shirt, there's going to be this consequence. John, it doesn't look good for you. If you want to push this forward, here's some potential penalties and punishment on you for wasting our time and harassing this company.
So you would like a lot of type of like anti-slap type thing, but applied to patents.
Yep, but the judge has that freedom to say, hey, this doesn't look good for you, John. If you're going to keep suing Rich over brown jackets, there's going to be a consequence. So whether that's 3x attorney's fees or whether that's something where it's some honesty factor invoked in the system for that review is something I've get for years.
Yeah, and that would actually prevent.
So, Jeremy, does that mean you don't have patents on your products, or where are you with that?
I absolutely do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we have the approach of easily defensible. So my business partner, who you might see a guy in a red shirt behind it, is David, and he's one of the most talented engineers I've ever met. And so he had dozens of patents before he met me. So I didn't have anything to do with making him incredibly intelligent. So, but he, because of his involvement as an engineer in authoring and helping with large companies, Prince Corporation, actually Eric Prince's father's company was where Dave started, automotive interiors. And so he got a great education on patent authoring. And so we use attorneys, but Dave's an incredibly good resource for us to have. And so we do go for patents, but we really stick to what's clearly defensible and clearly patentable. So we don't go after steel when it was plastic or different shapes. We actually go through very unique things. So like that product you just held up, we have 2 issued utility patents on. And one of them pertains to how the parts go together, oversimplifying that, the leading edge that prevents any catch point for that transference from extension to magazine body. So now we're the only extensions in the world that can guarantee reliable function. And the new utility patent we got on that one was when the rails at the bottom of the magazine go inward. So that's where you have to pitch it on. So yeah, we believe in patents. I don't believe in our patent system. Is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, makes sense. People can weaponize it and use like baby aluminum fan lawfare through suing over patent.
In both directions, right? I mean, it shouldn't just, if Rich invents something tomorrow, he shouldn't have to have $1 million in the bank to not get steamrolled by a larger company. that to me is a core issue, and there's no one in the world, no attorney in the world that's going to represent Rich, no matter how right he is, and no matter how much infringement's happening on purely just, if you win, I'll get something. That's not, it's not typically the case for a defendant. I mean, maybe on the prosecution side. So like if you came up with something for a firearm, patented it, and Sig Sauer's knocking it off and built the 365 lineup and you invented the chassis, maybe you most likely could get an attorney to, ambulance chase for you and keep a percentage. But on the flip side, if Sig came after you alleging something that absolutely wasn't true, you would have no chance in hell to get an attorney to represent you.
Gotcha.
Because a lot of these big companies, what they try to do is bankrupt the little companies if they fight back.
Yep. Yeah, and the reason for that from the attorney standpoint is because there's nothing for them to win, right? It's one of those things where if they win, they work for free, they maybe can get their fees back, which the burden to even get your fees back. So it's like, Rich, don't take a salary, give up your job, come work for me for free. And then best case scenario, everything goes right for me. It's out of my control. I'll pay you what you would have made if you just stayed at your job. What attorney's going to do that, right? There has to be some upside of Rich leaving a salary to come work for me. He's got to have a path to make more than he would have made staying where he's at. And that's kind of how the system's set up today.
Yeah, the system is broken.
It is. And, unfortunately, who has the ear of our lawmakers are the guys who get them elected from or fund the elections, I would say is a better way to describe it. And that's larger companies, right? But it's exciting to follow, and it's like just like you covering, the gun rights side. I think it is fascinating to be able to have a deeper understanding of it. There's a lot of frustration that comes with the knowledge you gain when you study different aspects of our government, but I think it's also empowering. At least have two eyes open going, and I think that's what we feel as Second Amendment advocates. I know you guys are passionate about it, where I stand, John, and the more we know, the more we at least can direct our efforts to impact. So that's really a lot of my energy as a company leading with innovation is based around, understanding those things. So we don't take the approach of just write checks and hope for the best.
Yeah, Jeremy was one, if not the first partner of the GOA partner program.
I think it was, I don't remember. It was a phone call you and I had, right?
Yeah.
Hey, let's get companies. And so it was, I love what GOA stands for. I think the, NRA, I kind of put in the same bucket as, some of the federal government forces when it comes to effectivity and issues and efficiency of spend and efficiency of action. So it's been really cool to see GOA's success, not just as GOA, but also, stemming some other groups that are also making impacts and kind of opening people's eyes to alternatives. And I'm proud to partner with the GOA and work with them. And, but also really happy to see, and I know GOA is too. You talk to Eric and his team, and they don't sit there and I haven't heard them bring down some of the other small groups. They sit there and cheer with them and sometimes work with them. So I think that's great.
Yeah, it's actually policy not to bash other groups.
Yeah. So, and I hope the NRA can wake up to it. I know they've got a lot of membership that does a lot of their funding that isn't part of the awareness of audiences of channels like yours, older crowd that kind of just granddad was an NRA member, so I'm an NRA member. And I think as time goes by, the NRA is going to have to wake up, or they're going to have big problems.
I think they have big problems.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to exist, right? Is how I look at it. They don't make some changes and have a better pulse about, supporting their membership.
Yeah. So GOA went from a phone call. Then the development of the partner program to goals this summer.
Yeah, that's exciting. We're really pumped. It's one of the bigger splashes that we're going to, have made. I mean, for us, we kind of went all in on it, and super excited to be there. And we got the NCAP double booth, sponsored a kids area, so we didn't do a Daniel Defense, at SHOT Show where you just can't get rid of them. We're not that kind of presence, but for us, it's a big step, and I think it's the right platform for what we're going to be announcing there, and huge product release and a deeper partnership with GOA will be announced there, and what it's all about, and I think couldn't be a better launching pad for that.
Yeah, there's some other companies that are coming aboard that have not been announced yet. But it's coming. It's coming. I was working on some of that stuff today. In fact.
Good. Well, I know candidly, like I've helped, some of their folks get some other vendors signed up, and I've spread the word on it. It's the feedback from folks is, they're excited about it. It exists, and I think they did a lot of good things.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising on the what's going on, because originally it was going to be a lot smaller than what it turned out to be. We're like, all right, well, let's see what happens. And it's like, holy crap, a lot of people got tickets. And then it was like vendors, instead of like chasing down the vendors, it's like everyone's like reaching out. Oh, I want a booth. And it's just like, wow, this is going a lot differently than what we thought.
Well, I mean, honestly, a lot of the vendor community hadn't. This isn't a negative, meant to be negative in any way, but a lot of the vendor community had no awareness of it. It even was a thing. I think to your point, it wasn't intended to be the scale it was, and then when it was decided, the messaging really didn't get out necessarily to a lot of the vendors. So like, several of the folks I introduced it to, they're like, yeah, I'm in, like within seconds, because they hadn't heard of it. And there are some bigger companies I've talked to that were like, yeah, I just learned about it this morning, and this is like 2 weeks ago. So I think the news is still getting out there for sure. It's not,
Yeah. So you know some of the numbers from behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the updated numbers, but there's going to be a lot of people there. I mean, you go try to book a hotel.
Yeah, we got the Airbnb, and so we got that booked in lockdown. So, but no, I think it's going to be exciting and fun, and there's some good things they're doing. I love how it was evident in their structuring of listening to vendors and media folks and making it more fruitful for us to where, we get a full day now of the show booth set up, of access limited to vendors and media only, which really just gives the chance to kind of potentially create great partnerships, in Springboard, where we don't have to, interrupt the client, because that's one of the things we hate, right? We're talking to a customer, right? Just a consumer that owns our product,
Mm-hmm.
and I love doing that. And I'd hate to Rich, like a Rich who, if he's just a customer, right, at my booth talking about love for our products or giving us direction and feedback, and then having to cut him off because John shows up with a video camera. Like, that doesn't feel good to me as a vendor,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm
Mm-hmm.
basically saying,
Yep.
Rich, you're not as important to me as John is. And so having that dedicated day really lets us treat people how we want to treat them, which is, I'm here. I'm so grateful that you're, for your support. And that's something that really people don't talk about SHOT Show, which I don't have a choice in those scenarios, right? John has a scheduled time with me. I'm talking with you, and it just never feels good to make someone feel less than. That's not what we're trying to do. So It's exciting they're doing that.
And that's a good thing. Now, PSA used to do that at the gathering, and now it's just, everybody, which I have the opposite end of that. Like, I want to get a video with company, your company, see your product and get the whole shtick, but there's, a bunch of other guys that paid to be there, just general public, and they want to, get their range time in. Yeah. And it's, it's the opposite effect. So yeah, I do appreciate that when that goes on.
Yeah. I mean, some of the most fun things about the event is meeting those customers, right? And it's like, but you have to get the media time, right? If I get a chance to have John Crump cover our stuff, like, I'm going to take it every time, right? And I have to,
right?
It's the leader of this business. But so yeah, I haven't been to the gathering. I've heard mostly good things about it. It seems like the involvement is more like the East Coast vendors that they kind of bring out there, and but yeah. Point being, it lets us be efficient from media and vendors standpoint, and cover folks and connect and have some time to chat, and then focus on the consumer side, for 2 full days on the weekend. So happy GOA is doing that. And I just feel like what's so cool is, like, anytime you're working with a group where you're like, I know afterward they're going to give me a survey. I know afterward they're going to read the survey, and they're going to look to get better. So I'm really excited for the history or the future of the goal. It's really.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. When I started working with GOA, we were a hell of a lot smaller than what we are now.
you were. And honestly, I don't even know necessarily how big, like infrastructure wise, you guys are now, but it's been cool to watch. It really is. And for people that don't know, if you've ordered from us, you do know every single order we ship with a postcard introducing our customers to GOA and discount code to join. And so that's something we've done for years. And now taking the next step with what we're doing and I think it's the right time.
Yeah. So that is really cool. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's like a banging going on. I'm not really sure. It's coming through the mic, and it's coming from me, but it's not. Nothing's moving. I'm not really sure what is going on there. I think I need to replace a cable.
It's the ATF.
Probably. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, and GOA is getting a lot of play on a lot of different, now you're looking on like Fox News, there's from GOA on there. Red October was the first thing that was like the first event that we actually really did out there.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think, did we put them in my booth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they had their own booth. I think I gave them half my booth or something like that.
Yeah, you gave us half your booth, and that was, we had to order everything. That was Matt, which is Kaylee's husband, Aiden Johnston, who's the chief legislative lobbyist, and me.
Yeah. And we had like the grueling, run this torture stage competition where we donated money and raffle prizes and it was an IWI gun, and Matt won that, and he never fired an AK before. That sounds. Yeah, I forgot.
He's like, I've only shot ARs. He was really good with an AR, but he never really did anything with AKs, and then he won it.
That was a fun weekend. But yeah, it's amazing. Now you guys got booth space all over the place, and it's cool to see how far that's come.
Yeah,
it feels like forever ago, and it was maybe 4, 5, 6 years. I don't know.
You had to run. You had to run a course, shoot, climb up on a Hummer, throw a bunch of ammo cans stuck with a bunch of like rocks. They're like 50 pounds a piece on top of the Hummer, fire again, run some more. It was a hard race. I remember there was this one lady, the old lady that did it.
Yeah, so many guys were like bowing out, like, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to be embarrassed. And then I think she was in her 60s. And I remember we gave her prizes just because like we're impressed. Hats off to you.
She was in her 60s and she was not in shape at all. But she made it through. She powered through. I mean, I think she was like at the bottom of the list, but she powered through. Yeah. She didn't give up. She pushed through, and that was not a. I mean, like Matt went on to become like special forces and stuff like that, and he had a tough time with it. But this woman did it, and some other people just like bowed out, didn't do it, didn't finish.
Yep.
And that's mental fortitude right there.
I think there's it's definitely not PG rated, but there is a video on YouTube. I think it's by Mead Fuel Grants or something, Tufu, where one of our RO type guys that was helping us out, Fernando, did kind of a satire version of it. Some want to see the chorus. I think that's somewhere on the
Yeah, I have to look that up.
It's not PG rated, so I promise you that there was some color used.
Yeah, well, that was a fun time.
No, it was, and the house was fun. It's just always cool to
the
community.
It was the most gaudy house I've ever been in. I mean, there's like marble pillars everywhere and marble floors.
But it was in the hood, right? It
wasn't
in the hood.
Expensive.
It was like, I don't know, like $5 or $6 grand for like 4 days or something. But it was like this 8-bedroom house. It was like all marble. The view from the back patio was like a meth lab and dirt bikes that like didn't run.
It was like picking up like one of the mansions in my neighborhood, Rich. Not that I don't live in a mansion, but there's mansions in my neighborhood, and like plop it in the middle.
John lives in the bad part of his hood, just so everybody knows.
Yeah. When I say that, I don't. People think that I live in. I don't. But they're part of my neighborhood. There's a really ritzy part of my neighborhood that have these like mega mansions, and it's like someone
where
like,
Sebastian Gorka lives.
Yeah, basically. So it's like someone took a mega mansion and propped it down. And who used to live there? Who used to live there? There was a famous guy that lived there. Oh, Mark Levin used to live there. And there's like the senators and the Congress people live up there. It's like someone took one of these mega mansions and plopped it down in the middle of the hood.
Yeah,
it was
the Airbnb
really
listing
weird.
did not. The Airbnb listing did not make it clear it was in the hood, but we had fun with it. But literally, there were like marble pillars that were like 10+ feet tall over the place. You're like, this is like some contractor did this. It was. I like getting weird places. But it had a poker table in it.
The poker table. I had a movie room.
Yeah, that's where we watched the Tim Harmson Break a Brick video. Was in the movie theater room.
We watched Tim Harmson Break a Brick thing, and we also watched the Washington Nationals win the World Series.
Okay, sounds right. Probably, I would have guessed that Good, Bad, and the Ugly or something like that was on at some point in the weekend. I usually try and stick the spaghetti westerns mixed in somewhere, but I don't remember watching it there. But if I go back in time, that's what I would watch in that week.
Yeah, probably. It was a fun time.
I don't know for sure.
It was definitely a fun time. It was a long weekend. We were out at Pro Gun Vegas.
Yeah,
Pro Gun Club Vegas. Yeah, which is a cool court. I think that's where they do the SHOT Show range day at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no shade out there, and it's usually windy, and so you usually get, windburn, sunburn, all the fun stuff that comes with it, no matter if you're there in December or if you're there in July. So it's kind of like I've had some guys that dig cool, for overseas. They're like, this is very reminiscent of random places in Afghanistan. Right? There's like you can't see greenery in any direction. It's just desolate desert. So definitely a different ambiance for sure. But it's a good venue, great staff. I mean, I've had nothing but good experiences out there from staff and
yeah, it was fun. Got to shoot a bunch of machine guns. Got to shoot the FCG 44, the MP 44, which I love that gun so much.
It's a piece of history, man. It really is.
Yeah, fully auto. That there's the cyclic rate of that gun is just perfect.
It's the Rolex of the old ones. No, it is good. It's a cool system.
Yeah, that was fun. We had a good time. X-Tech is still one of my favorite companies because they make a great product. And not only that, but they actually support like gun rights. One of their magazines that they made was the California. The California.
The California special. Yeah.
California special. I got one of those somewhere.
Yep, we've been we always laugh when we get the stickers. So that will be changing in the near future, and that's part of what we're up to. And but yeah, it was kind of a way to spread the messaging at the time that it's appropriate, and now we're going to be shifting that a little bit. But yeah, it's easily adaptable. 1030 AK magazine that you can convert when and if you move or your laws change. And
yep.
So
I just want to drop this in here. So I actually found the video.
There you go, the brick video.
And let's see, hold on. I should have gone full screen first.
Setting on a steel plate on a brick, and I have this big heavy log, and let's see how good my aim is. It broke my brick. It put nuts. A dent in the magazine, but this darn thing is far from broken. Look at that, gouged on both sides. It's just the ribbing. And that ribbing is what makes this thing so incredibly durable. It's one of the features that makes it so incredibly durable. That cracks me up. Didn't even drop a round. Let's see if it works. I mean, there's no reason it wouldn't. Yeah, you're a piece of junk. I just
Yeah, he
became
was
an
going over
X-Tech believer. I've ignored these magazines for so long. Wow, what a tank. I ain't done yet. Jason came up with this test. Gonna put a magazine like this on the brick, try to drop this stump I'm sitting on straight down and see if we can crush the feed lip area of this magazine. Alrighty, here we go. Took another bite. Oh, that did it. I knew we could break it.
He
Good call, Jason. You figured out a way to break it. Well, now you can see the steel reinforcements on the feed lips.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun phone calls I had with YouTube guys. I actually want you to, beat the crap out of our mag. So we're big on transparency, and one of the things is we develop products to reflect the core values we have. That's why we started the company, and it frustrates me when people sell products and market them as something that you can depend on when they're so. It's always fun to. Someone's like, you actually want me to try and break your product? Absolutely. Put it through real life tests and then show it functions as a duty grade product, whether it's you defending your home or military, etc. And then go further if you want. I mean, we're all about high integrity, authenticity. We've never bought anyone's promotion, and there's just a lot of companies in the space that don't stand by those morals. And I think, frankly, they should have to label their product as this is a toy, not a tool. Pretty simple.
Yeah, Brandon had to sand down the ribs of his to get it to work on his Galera lace, but he has your mags. Yeah,
but Brandon, our slab side ones, you won't have to do that, by the way. So the elite is what you're looking for if you're looking for a non-standard.
Yeah, these are badass magazines. It's like I said, X-Tech has been very good to me with providing me with like stuff to test out for them and to give them feedback, and I really appreciate that, because it's not like, oh, can you write about this? It's usually like, don't tell anyone you have this. It's not coming out for like another year, but we want to get all the bugs worked out.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny about the M&P magazines, right, from Italy. We haven't technically announced those yet. They are on the website. We hired a new PR firm, our first ever PR firm. They informed me, John, this is probably a world you know better than I do, but press releases in the industry for the industry news folks, we can typically send out 2 days before, and but in the PR world, bigger scheme, they don't have a 2-day responsiveness to posting press releases. So now we've had to kind of adjust our launch schedules to fit the bigger media channels. So now we have 2 weeks from the standpoint when I'm ready to relaunch, announce and then release. So here's what it is. So technically we haven't announced that product yet, but it's on the website. You're good. It's on the website. You can go, people can click and buy it. So
Brandon bought it up at TriggerCon.
Okay. That was a long time. That was the OG TriggerCon, the original. Brandon, thanks for the chat. And
Brandon is like one of the heads of my Discord.
Love it, man. We are going to TriggerCon this year. I know it's in a very different area, but it was at the original one at Bellevue. And I actually spend a portion of my summers in that general area, closer to Silverdale. But all that to be said, I know the area pretty well now. And they'll be in Wichita. TriggerCon this year in September. We'll be out there. So it'll be our first time back in years.
Yeah, that's cool. You also do not Red October, Clash Smash too.
Yeah, this was our first year back. Same kind of story. Went to the first one, and then it was all hands on deck when we were dealing with external forces, and stuff. So now we went back this year, and I love that event, John. I'll tell you. I mean, I think that is what Clay and Tony have built there is exactly what they said they wanted to build, and so I gave them a lot of what I could bring to the table, time and attention and focus, and I think. First one we brought and paid for Brandon Herrera to come out and really help them there. convinced Brandon to fight Kit Cope in a fun way. Like, we did what we could to support him because I believed in what Clay wanted to do, which is really build an event that was central around the community and bringing people together in the industry, not just in the industry, in the community, and leave egos off the table. And they did what they have built there now. It's just been phenomenal. And so it was my first year back, and was very impressed. And it's probably my favorite event. If I look at next year's calendar, the one I'm most looking forward to, it was just so much fun, and everyone there was just they cared more about who, was the most entertaining around the campfire or who was wearing the most crazy costume than they could care about who won the competition. And that's not a knock on the competition, but it's just show up and you're going to make friends. It was just a really cool event. The culture there is a lot of fun.
Well, I think that's the AK culture. If you go to like a competition with running ARs and stuff like that, it's a lot stuffier. You see people run with the jerseys, the shooting jerseys and everything. And then you go to like an AK event and you see people dressed up as like Russians and
Pee Wee Herman and gorillas and squirrels,
like Viet Cong people run around. It's crazy. It's a lot more fun. I liken it to Guns meet Comic-Con. You have a lot of people cosplaying.
100%, which I'm never one to wear a costume, but it just it really, I think they built the event, to your point, around what the AK culture really wants, and I'm not trying to knock other events or other AK events even, but I think they are the most attuned to what the community was looking for. That's why they've been so successful.
Yeah. All right, well, I got to get out of here. I got a Boy Scout meeting I got to take my son to, and got some other stuff. I was a little bit late starting the stream because my son decided that on his Minecraft server that he wanted something that didn't exist in Minecraft. So I had to code it and get it to work with Minecraft, which I don't know. I don't know. Every time for him and his friends want something on Minecraft or something like that doesn't exist, can you go ahead and code it for us? I'm like, no, I'm not going to code it. Then the next day I'm there.
Doing it. Yeah.
Love it, man. Well, that's fun. You have to tell. I think you have to tell everyone essentially what you coded at some point. Anyway, that was fun, guys. I appreciate you having me on, and look forward to the next one and seeing you both again.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon.
We got to have you on more often.
We're gonna have. So I can promise you this. I mean, we're gonna do our best to stick to it, but we've given ourselves 24 months to release over 80 products. So we're constantly release new stuff coming. So it's gonna be exciting and fun. So.
I've seen some of the SKUs. They're gonna be. It's pretty cool.
We'll make some noise. So I think a lot of folks' reaction, because most still haven't heard of us, is going to be where'd they come from. It's going to, as you know, it's a decade in the making. So really excited.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is it. Next week, I'm going to be doing stuff every night. We go into like the boardwalk, go-karts, mini golf.
Hard life. Yeah.
I'm going to my.
Wait! I got somebody scheduled for Wednesday already.
I told you, you can tell Rich, don't schedule anywhere for this day. It took him every day. I gave him this Tuesday every month. Don't schedule. He scheduled someone for every freaking month, and then he's like, I'm gonna write it down now. It's like, Rich,
so I run without you.
Over. It's over.
If you put it in my Google Calendar.
He's like, I got this guy on Tuesday. I'm like, Rich, it's the one Tuesday a month I say I can't do it. 9 months in a row. You scheduled someone. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, I remember for next month. I was like, Rich, that's over now.
Keep doing it, Rich. Don't stop. Never change, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's it. We'll see. We'll do something. Yep. And with that, we are out of here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming on. Check out X-Tech Tactical. They are great. And I highly recommend them. Don't get paid by them. They're not a sponsor, but I would trust my life with their stuff, and that's why I recommend it to you guys. All right, guys. See you later.